Hey guys, Mr. Decepticon Leader back today with another video. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a different video, inspired by my good friend the Budget Jedi. Today I'm going to be giving you a lowdown on the various Emperor figures in my Star Wars collection. These are the majority of the Emperor figures that I'm about to show you, and I'm going to give a rundown of each one. So let's get started with the first figure. First figure is obviously Palpatine, Chancellor Palpatine from the Revenge of the Sith line, which came out in 2005. This figure's sculpt is pretty accurate to the actor's portrayal. His articulation is very limited though, and he's got a ball hinge, the arm, swivel, and the elbow. It just swivels, it doesn't bend inward or outward. It doesn't bend downward, so he can put it down his side. Got a swivel of the wrist, and then it does actually have swivel of the hips and ball hinge of the knees, but the long tunic does hinder it. But again, I would say that this figure's more for display, and it's not really for his articulation. We've been quite a few Chancellor Palpatine figures out there. Some are probably more detailed than this, but I believe that this was one of the later versions of Chancellor Palpatine, as the Chancellor prior to A New Hope and prior to the trilogy. I do hope they come out with a more fully articulated Chancellor, with soft goods and the new articulation. So I would really love to see one from the Revenge of the Sith where he fights for 4 Jedi, and that would be awesome. I really hope to see that version in him. Just have a fully possible Chancellor. It'd be awesome. Again though, the prequels aren't really my favourite time period for the Star Wars universe, so it doesn't really matter to me as much. So now that we've got my Chancellor Palpatine figure out of the way, which I think is still a good figure, is the latest Chancellor Palpatine figure, if I'm not mistaken. And I certainly think the sculpt's pretty much dead on, especially for the time, and the articulation is pretty good for the figure. This robe can be removed, so you can cut it off, but it is a good figure. So we'll just put that to the side. Next off is the Emperor figure of the Star Wars saga. This one was released, the saga line ranged from 2002 to 2004. This is obviously the Emperor from the end of Return of the Jedi, where he's pretty old. Just before he dies. The head sculpt is really good. I think the sculpt of this figure is dead on. I really do like the sculpt of this figure. I think what he limits in articulation, he certainly makes up for in detail. I really do like. I'm a person who personally I prefer soft goods to sculpted cloaks, but the sculpt on this guy is just amazing. The positioning of him, he's hunched down, he's old. It really is all around really nice sculpt. He's just an amazing figure, even for the time. His articulation again is limited because of the plastic. And I would say, if you really don't like soft goods, and you're someone who obviously, you prefer moulded plastic, and you want a Palpatine, it's really good, I recommend this one, because I think the hair sculpt's just dead on. you know, the sculpt of the figure is really nice. Better than the Revenge of the Sith version that came out that was similar to this, which I also do have. You know, this figure is amazing. It did come with 2 small pieces of Force Lightning. I've lost one of the pieces, so I'm not sure it's gone, but that's the Force Lightning there. I think they're 2 different, you know, they just clip onto his hands. It did also come with a walking cane, but I believe this is the walking cane that came with my other Darth Sidious figure, out of the Crimson Empire pack. And I believe that the cane is slightly a different mould. It's more straight, and so, you know, and it doesn't hold anything, so it doesn't even hold the cane. So I just put a bit of bull tack in his hand for him to hold the cane better. That's that. His articulation is pretty much ball in his shoulders. He's got a swivel in the hands. His head is also ball hinged. Kind of, you know, it moves up and you can turn it. And he does also like a hinged torso, and his feet do swivel at the bottom as well. So articulation's pretty much all you're gonna get out of it, and I think for the time, you know, it was a pretty good figure. Now, going forward in time a bit, we're going to be having a look at Clone Emperor. For a more detailed review of this figure, I have already done a review of him, so if you want to check that out. Again, this figure's not really one I can overly recommend unless you're a fan, an absolute fan of the Emperor for a start. I mean, the Emperor's my second favourite character, apart after Darth Vader. I just, you know, I love villains. He's the ultimate villain out of Star Wars. You know, he's the one pulling all the strings, and you know, he's certainly one of my favourite characters. And I did like the idea of the story of, you know, coming back after, you know, that, you know, he wasn't truly defeated, you know, that he managed to come back in clone bodies. I do like the idea of the storyline. I've read through it, and this is the only updated version of this figure. They did do an older figure, but he had plastic cloak. The mould wasn't as good. Articulation wasn't very good to today's standards. So this will probably be really the only update we ever get of this figure. It was quite hard to find actually when I had a look on eBay a while back. But I'd say you shouldn't pay, you know, more than 20 for the comic 3 pack with Luke. I should say like 20 is the highest, and even then I think you're giving some. I think 15 to 17 is a really decent price, and then obviously anything lower than 15 is a good price. But you know, I've run through all the articulation and everything on the figure. I still think it's an outstanding figure. But yeah, that's a Clone Emperor. Next up we have, I believe, the newest version in Palpatine, or Darth Sidious. We obviously have the Revenge of the Sith Darth Sidious from his duel with Yoda. This figure, I've seen a lot of mixed opinions on this guy online. I think really it comes down to your personal preferences. A lot of people don't like the head sculpt on this guy. I personally really like it. I think it's a really accurate version, you know, one of the best moulds in him. And again, we don't get, you know, we haven't got loads of Palpatine figures, you know, we haven't got loads of variations in him, which, you know, I think stand up to the modern standards today, like this guy. Just an all-round amazing figure, to be honest. I really like the way the lightning holds in his hands, just the detail on him. A lot of people don't like the soft goods, but I personally really like it. I really like the attention to detail they've paid this figure. I really do like it. I think, you know, honestly, I may do a more in-depth review of this guy Again, I'll do a more in-depth review of any of them if you request. You know, if you've got requests on any of the figures, you know, obviously these two, then I'll do a more in-depth review. I'll do a more in-depth review of this guy, but I do think he's a pretty good figure. That's my preference to him. A lot of people don't like him. You know, either the head sculpt or the soft goods. But I really do like him. You know, and I think he's certainly a must-own in my opinion. Even if you're not a fan of Revenge of the Sith, I think he's still a must-own figure because he's pretty spectacular. And last but certainly not least, possibly my favourite Palpatine Darth Sidious figure I own. One which I've already reviewed is the one from the Crimson Empire pack. Just giving them the Force Lightning from Big Clone Emperor. This guy, in my opinion, is the best Palpatine figure you can find. This, if any of the figures here are not a must-own, this one is. If you do not own this figure, I would highly recommend hunting it down. And this version from a Crimson Empire pack in particular, because in my opinion it does have the best paint apps on the skin. Every other Palpatine figure of this mold I've seen, the paint apps of the figure are not as good. This paint apps I think on this figure are the best, I feel. You know, just another excellent figure. I do highly recommend him. I mean, you shouldn't be too hard to pick up. I mean, obviously it depends on your personal preference again on the skin tone. I do think that this skin tone from the Crimson Empire pack's the best. It doesn't fit on the stands too well, but you know, in my opinion, it is. I just love it. The soft goods. That's pretty much it for my Palpatine figures, the figures I own. That is pretty much it. You know, that's pretty much the bulk of the Palpatine figures I own. I do own a few others. I do have the other Revenge of the Sith one, the one with the changing heads, but it's not as good, and the arms are broken off, and I've lost the head for him. But I think these figures here, I think, you know, if you're gonna collect Palpatine figures, I think these guys here you should think about picking up first. Particularly these, I think these three at the front here, the updated versions in them are, you know, brilliant. Again, if you like, you may want to pick up another Chancellor figure if this one's not to your taste. If you want one with more lavish, outlandish costume, I'm not sure. But overall, an amazing bunch of figures. In my opinion, this one is a must-own. I think that one's a must-own if you like plastic goods. This one, I think this one is a must-own if you do like plastic on figures rather than the soft goods, because I think it's the best Palpatine figure with plastic to date. So, I do recommend pretty much picking up the majority of these figures. You know, because they don't do enough figures in Palpatine, in my opinion, for his character. But I'm happy, you know, with the collection of figures I do have of Palpatine. To say how many versions in him there have been, you know, how little versions I feel there have been in him certainly to modern standards. But you know, this lot of figures, you know, I do recommend checking each of them out, which one you like, which one you don't like. And I've got to get this uploaded now. I don't know how long it's going to take to upload. Again, a shout out to my good friend, the Budget Jedi. He's got a new channel. I'll put a link down below to his new channel. And again, a shout out to everybody else. I put a shout out in my update video. If you haven't already subscribed to them, go subscribe to them. Go check each and every one of them out in the description box. And until next time, see you guys later.